the thing about spellcraft is, I guess it's in the name. I mean, it's even in the name witchcraft too. You know, crafting something. You can craft something out of anything, or anything out of something. So I don't really believe in limiting yourself to specific ingredients, which I think is also something important to keep in mind, because in terms of specific items becoming hard to obtain, or having issues attaining those because maybe they're in different countries and different regions, or maybe people have over harvested certain items and now they're endangered. I think it's really important to be as flexible as possible when it comes to using different items in your spellcraft. And the way that I see magic is things are as magical as you make them. I also understand that the history of an item being magical also gives it power. But I do also have a pretty psychological approach to magic. So if you think that something isn't going to work for you, then it's really hard to think that it would. Like, that's, I guess, where I'm going with this. Now I feel like I'm just rambling and I'm starting to confuse myself, so I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to go on to my next point, which would be how to get ideas for spells in the first place. And that's where spell books do come in handy in terms of inspiration, because I think that many times when we are, I don't want to use the word desperate, but seeking for something and we really want something, if we overthink it, we end up going in a complete opposite direction. Let me give you an example, actually. This is a personal example of mine, and it has nothing to do with spell work, but it applies. So I remember I was crafting. I was writing an email, and this email was going to mean a lot. Or no. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess today. Okay, so this email was going to be sent to somebody that I respected in academia, and I was basically letting them know that I was not interested in something that they had presented to me. So I was feeling all types of anxiety. Like, I felt imposter syndrome because I didn't even feel like I deserved to be offered the thing. And then I was feeling anxious because writing emails to people that are important to me would provide that much anxiety for me at that time. And then also I had to basically say no, which was something that I did not like to do. Like, if I respected somebody, I felt like I needed to say yes to whatever opportunity they threw my way, because I didn't think I was deserving of those types of opportunities. So if one did come my way, then I would be basically telling the universe or higher powers, or, whatever you believe in, I would be telling them, I don't want success, or I don't want this abundance, or I don't want opportunities, bye. And then nothing would ever come my way again. So I was like very, very, very bad at the way that I was handling that. But I was writing this email and I rewrote it so many times that by the time I came out with the final version, which I sent out, it had made no sense. And I didn't realize this because I had rewrote it so many times in my head, what I thought. It was like if what I had thought had been written and was being understood, but it was only in my mind. So when that person replied back to me, they were so confused and they had no idea what I was trying to say, which might be the case in this video because I think that I sound confusing right now too. But what I'm trying to say is, when you overthink something and you put so much weight on it and you continue to beat yourself up about it, you will probably do something that is so far from what you're supposed to do to get the thing, bring the thing, whatever the goal actually was. So I ended up just writing this 2-sentence email that made no sense, that had almost no context. And I realized it was because I had overthought it so much. I had rewrote it too many times, and it completely lost all sense that it could have had. Which was funny because the whole idea of me doing that much overthinking and rewriting that email so many times was to be as clear as possible and the least offensive way as possible. And I ended up sounding like I was crazy. And not the good kind of crazy. So that's why I'm saying spell books for inspiration. Because if you have a specific thing you're looking to do a spell working for, let's just say something really broad like success in a class or a test or something, then finding spells that relate to success would be a great starting point. And then you can make it more specific to your situation or to your practice or your beliefs or the items that you presently have to make it. So like get like a nice skeleton and then add in your flavor and make it catered to you so that you can make the spell that's going to be best work for you. With that being said, I do have a tip that does help me because I tend to get into this overthinking loop, and many times that halts things being done because the overthinking is overpowering, and that is to actually have your own skeleton for a spell. So not when you're desperate, once again, I don't like that word, but not when you're desperate, but not when you're like really, really trying to seek something and you feel like if you don't do it, something crazy is going to happen, but more of like a chill period. Like if you're just relaxing or reading a book, or you happen to just want to flip through your book shadows or, you know, whatever you use, just try to make like this really loose skeleton of a spell. So you kind of know what works for you and you kind of have an idea with preferences of what you may want to use, so that when you're like, oh, I need to make a working happen like tomorrow or in a week, and I don't have time to like make this big elaborate thing, you at least have like your base that works for you. So that's a tip. And hopefully, oh my gosh, you guys don't understand like how much I feel like I stumble over words and my thoughts, and I feel like I'm speaking really fast, and I try to slow down the way that I talk. And this is after taking a speech class, you guys, so that's the funnier part, because I passed it with an A, and it's kind of like, well, I don't know about deserving that grade, but the reason I'm speaking so fast is because a lot of the times I have ideas in my head and I fear that I'm going to lose the idea if I don't say it quick enough. And because my mind runs faster than my mouth can speak, hence the issue. Okay, so let's continue talking about spellcraft, enough about my own head. So my preferred method for spellcraft, and I didn't even realize this was a preferred method, like it wasn't like I planned it this way, I just realized it was what I was already doing. So for me, I had seen like a lot of videos and a lot of people talk about like they incorporate the 4 elements because that makes it so powerful and da 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 da. And I was like, I never thought about that. Why didn't I do that? I'm always just using fire. And then when I started thinking about how I've made spells or like rituals, I was already incorporating the 4 elements. I just didn't do it on purpose. So I typically use the 4 elements just because that's like my comfort zone when it comes to like building a spell. It has nothing to do with anything else other than that's what I naturally gravitate towards. And I think the last thing I want to say that's really, really been helpful for me, and this is part of my personality, so it came easy for me to do, but if you don't do it, you might want to start doing it, is to keep track of your spells. So the reason that this is a good idea, apart from, oh, hey, I've done this before, or I don't know, is to be able to see what works and what doesn't for you, so that you can start basically finding out where your strengths lie when it comes to manifesting certain things or outcomes. Because that will also help you build your skeleton. So I built my like spell skeleton based off of things that were pulled from spells or workings or rituals that went 100% success rate. So if it was successful, then let's see if it's successful again. And then you also find out, okay, was that an anomaly, or is that something that is where I'm shining and where I need to always like pull from, or, you know, something like that. It just kind of like really cuts a lot of guesswork, in my opinion. Because obviously you can explore whatever you want and do all kinds of crazy things, but if you want to save some time and you just want to do something and just want it to work and you want it to work fast, then it's better to do it that way. I think what is the term? I'm not sure if I remember the term, but I've seen some practitioners speak about, oh my gosh, I'm totally botching this, but it's results magic with results. Forgive me. But yeah, so that's what I have on spellcraft, and hopefully one day I'll make a video that didn't seem so, I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. Should I just jump into divination? I think I should. And we'll try to keep this one a little shorter because I rambled for quite a bit on that one. So when it comes to divination, I think about things that are used for divination, the tools used for divination. So like items used for scrying, like black mirrors. I have one scrying mirror, but I have not used it in so long, so I don't even have much to say about that. I think about tarot cards, oracle cards, all types of cards. I think about pendulums. I personally don't use pendulums. I own like one or two, but I've never really felt gravitated towards it to use it. And when it comes to like tarot or oracle cards and readings, for me personally, I have like my favorite decks, and sometimes those change. They are not like, okay, so like the traditional Rider-Waite deck, I own one, but I only pulled from it like a handful of times, and it stays stored for most of the time. And right now my favorite decks are, let me grab it. Okay, so at the moment, my favorite tarot deck to pull from for me is the Tarot of Dragons. Beautiful, beautiful artwork in this, by the way. But this is something that I felt called to about a few months back. I don't know how many months ago. I don't want to say a whole year, though, because it definitely hasn't been a whole year. But I have been really, really attracted to dragons, and I decided to buy a few decks. That's my only tarot deck, but I have like a couple other oracle decks. Completely love the artwork, love the messages. It reads me to filth every single time, but I never take it. I try not to take it in a bad way. And then when it comes to reading for other people, I don't really read for just anybody. I have only ever read for people that are close to me, and that's less than 5 people. I want to say maybe even less than 3. And the deck that I use, well, I've used a couple different ones, but the one that I always pull from if I'm doing a reading for somebody I know is the Starman Tarot. And this one I've been using for years. I started using it to read just my own, and I completely fell in love with it and I loved it. Then I started reading for other people that are close to me, and it is spot dead on every single time. I am the deliverer of the message, which is why I don't really read for anybody else, because the people that are close to me, I feel like I can deliver the message in the way that's going to help them the most with the least amount of resistance, so they can help their situations as quick as possible. I hope I'm making the most sense. But yeah, I definitely use more of a psychological approach, and my readings are just a 5-card pull. and they last anywhere between an hour to like almost 2 hours, because we get into like much deeper discussions about the images, the symbolism, past occurrences, different memories, maybe some traumas, and possible resistances. So that's kind of the way that I do readings, but I don't really do readings for people except for, like I said, 3 to 5 people at the most, and it's not like super regular. It's kind of like very intuitive based when it comes to frequency. I don't think I've ever done a reading for the same person in like shorter than a month between readings. So like one reading a month would be the max I would be comfortable doing, because I feel like there's no way that you did the work that you needed to do in order to remove all of those things that were concerning you in a 1 month period. And I'm not saying I don't participate in like tarot readings for myself. Like I actually follow quite a bit of tarot readers on YouTube that I really, really like, and they'll post up weekly readings, monthly readings, sometimes mid-month readings. So it's just me personally doing the reading for somebody else. That's how I feel. I also don't feel like I would become a professional tarot reader. If I did, then it would be something that would happen so far from now, or it would be like a huge life shift for me, because I don't see it as something I want to do or that would be for me. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say for divination. I have some other things written down, but maybe that's going to be better for like another video. And then I might as well just do the music prompt because it's so short. Let's just kill it. So I already said some music. That's the prompt. And music, I want to say for years when I was doing my rituals, when I would do like full moon rituals, new moon rituals, always for years, just shamanic drums. That was it. I couldn't have any words. It just had to be the drum beats. And that would allow me to, I don't want to use the word concentrate, but it's the only word that makes sense, considering I felt that for the longest time I could not meditate. I could not sit still for like more than 5 minutes without feeling like I was like jittery, or like I just couldn't focus on anything. So I was able to, even though I wasn't having a consistent meditation practice, just go into meditation and be in ritual for hours if I was listening to shamanic drums. So shamanic drums, I hold close to my heart because they made me believe that I could actually concentrate and focus on something. And I think that played a huge part in the success that I saw with those rituals in the first place, which only made me believe in myself and magic that much more. And gave me more confidence to even talk about those things and share those things with the people that I like. So it was kind of like a snowball effect of things after using shamanic drums as music for rituals. I guess I guess it's music still, right? Like, you know how you can look up frequency for different hertz depending on what kind of brainwave state you want to be in, depending on a task you want to do. I really started playing with that because, like I said, I had issues sitting down, being still, and studying. Like that was my kryptonite, which is hilarious because I'm in college, well, I'm in university, and I've been in college/university for so long, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't think that people take this long to complete a bachelor's degree. It's not regular. It's not regular. It's really not. Although I am, a physics major, so I didn't pick the easiest major, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, hertz-specific music, or specific hertz music sounds, and binaural beats also. And depending on what mood I'm in, sometimes I'll listen to singing bowls. But if I'm going to meditate, I'm usually following a prompt either via audio or via my mind. Like I'm doing some kind of journeying. So I don't really like just meditate, close my eyes and blank or think of nothing. Like a meditation with a meditation for me has to be some kind of a journey, some kind of like a goal or endpoint. So yeah, those are 3 prompts. And I'll be back tomorrow with another like 2 to 3 prompts maybe. I am most definitely going to catch up. If anything, I'll be ahead of time. That's what I'm telling myself. Finishing every single one of these prompts is the goal, and I am pursuing it ambitiously. That's all I'm going to say. So see you tomorrow.